Hello, my loves. I've created this episode for you to listen to whenever you're feeling anxious in your relationship or dating situation. So, I want you to get as comfy as possible and grab something that will give you some soothing, whether it's a cup of tea, a hot water bottle, a blanket, and just listen to this episode as I go into what is actually happening for you internally and how you can release some of this anxiety so you can respond as opposed to react to the heavy emotion that you're feeling right now. So let's dive into this episode. Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my loves, and welcome back. If you are here right now, it is because you are feeling anxiety or feelings of anxiousness in your relationship or your dating situation. Now, I just want you to know right off the bat that what you're feeling is okay. If you are crying right now, allow yourself to cry. If you are feeling any type of way, don't try to run away from it. I want you to place a hand on your heart right now and tell yourself that it's going to be okay. And in this episode, I'm going to go through why you may be feeling this anxiety and what's happening internally, and stress the importance of not reacting to this emotion, but really taking the time to take that power pause so you can come back to a state of calm, groundedness, so you can respond to whatever is triggering you right now. And those triggers could be just not getting a text back from the person that you're dating. It could be that you're feeling triggered over an argument or a bit of conflict that you're having with your partner. It could be something that they have done or said that is making you feel very anxious right now. So again, just know that every feeling you're feeling is an emotion. It is not you as a person, it is an experience. So throughout this episode, I'd love to invite you to just be as present as you can with me right now. Be as present as you can with the anxiety that you're feeling right now. And if you feel called to place your hand on your heart, I love to do this when I'm feeling anxious, because for me, I feel anxiety in my chest and my sternum. So I want to invite you, where do you feel your anxiety right now? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Do you feel sick? Do you feel nauseous? Is it in your jaw? Are you tensing your jaw right now? See if you can release that. Is it in the back of your throat? This is normally when we want to say something, but we're so afraid to speak whatever we want to say. And then we end up having that tension in the back of our throat. Maybe it's in your hips. Maybe it's long stored, suppressed anxiety that you're collecting in your hips. I want you to just place your hands on those parts where the anxiety is very present right now, is activated in your body. And before we get into any more of this episode, I want us to take a big deep breath together. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. And again, breathing in and exhale. Let's do one more. Breathe in and exhale. Notice how you're feeling, if anything is shifting in your body right now. And towards the end of this episode, I'm going to give you some other ways that you can release this anxiety to get yourself back to that grounded state. But first, like I've already stressed, I'm going to stress again, it is so important to just take a pause. Even if it's in the middle of an argument, if you're feeling yourself activated, and it's important to know what those signs are when you're feeling like you're going into an activated state of anxiety. So it could be your heart racing, it could be your temperature rising, it could be a sensation that you're feeling in your body. But typically, it is these symptoms, as well as a cloudiness that comes over us in our mind, and wanting to become defensive in some way, or wanting to completely remove ourselves from the situation. So my recommendation, when you feel yourself getting activated and you know that this is what's happening in your body and you know this is anxiety coming through, take a power pause. Put your phone down if it's about a text message, or tell your partner, I need a timeout. I need to regulate myself in order to come back to this conversation so we can continue discussing about whatever we're talking about and come to a solution. Because when we are in an anxious state over something that is triggering us, the alarm bells are ringing in our mind. Now, this trigger is reminding us of something that has happened in our past. And we're all triggered by different things. If you've been cheated on in the past, maybe you're being triggered by your partner being on their phone all the time or looking at other women or men. If you feel like you have a fear of abandonment, that you have grown up with a childhood where your parents were not physically or emotionally present. And as children, we make everything about ourselves, we're very egocentric. So we made that about something that we did. Therefore, we are being abandoned and not worthy of love in those moments that our parents pull away. If we are then sensing our partner pulling away, it triggers those old stored memories that we have in our subconscious. So that's what's happening when we're getting triggered. The alarm bells are going off in our mind by something called the amygdala. And I call her Amy. She's a bit of a drama queen or drama king. And she's always scoping for signs of threats. Now, the way that our brain is put together and wired is for a reason. It's to keep us safe. And that's when we go into a state of survival, a survival state. We need that. We need our brain to operate this way, because back in the day, if we saw a lion in the bush, we needed to be flooded with these thoughts and chemicals that are raging around your body right now in order to fight or flee from the threat. So we either fight the lion or we flee from the lion. Now, nowadays, we don't have lions roaming around, but the same operations are happening in the brain and in the body. So when Amy sees the threat based off of the pain that we went through in our past, whether it's from past relationships or our childhood, she's going to sound the alarm. And what she's going to do is wake up the thalamus. Let's call her Thelma. And what Thelma does is floods our system with a chemical called cortisol. Now, cortisol is raging through our bloodstream, and it's putting us in this activated state where we defend ourselves or we move away from that thing that is causing us pain. Now, mostly what I've learned in my work and within myself personally as well, we typically tend to go into a fight mode first. If you're more on the anxious attachment side, you will go into a more of a fight mode. And what this could look like is either getting defensive, attacking back. If you feel like you're being attacked in some way, then you will attack back. Or there's this leaning in energy. If you feel like your partner's pulling away or becoming distant, and this is what's causing your anxiety, you will then lean in and do your best to get that reassurance so you can feel calm again. And Amy is operating all of this. This is why she's flooding you with cortisol, because she wants to be able to move you away from that pain so it doesn't happen again. So she's going off of the memories that we have stored in our subconscious and our body. So as this is all happening and she's putting us in this activated state, we can sometimes do things that we may later regret. Whether it's saying something to our partner, whether it's sending a bunch of messages or voice notes or phoning that person that we're dating. And then when we calm down, when we down regulate ourselves, we're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I shouldn't have sent that. And we try to unsend everything. And then we're just left with all these unsent messages to this person. So that's why it's important to not go into such a reactive state, first of all. And I know in the moment it can be very difficult to not lean in and go into that fight mode. But this is where the work begins, my loves, is really noticing and really supporting yourself in this moment to take a step back and take a power pause. So it's always good to plan. Like I said, know what those signs look like and have something in mind, a strategy in mind that you do when you feel this way. So it could be, let me get outside and go for a walk. And just moving the body. That's one of the best ways to release any emotions that we're feeling is through movement. So this could be walking in nature. This could be just getting out your yoga mat and doing some stretches and just being with your body so you can move this cortisol through the bloodstream and send those signals to Amy up there in your subconscious brain that you are safe. She will not keep flooding you with cortisol until she understands that you are safe. So this could be grounding exercises, getting out in nature, like I said, yoga, breath work. Another great way to release anxiety as well, that I would encourage you to try all of these once you've listened to the episode, or maybe you're listening to this episode as you're doing some form of movement. For myself and clients that are feeling like they are becoming really overwhelmed and drowning in the anxiety, sometimes these calming methods can be even more triggering because you are so activated. If you're recognizing that in yourself, I want to invite you to try somatic shaking. And this is just completely shaking your body. So what it's doing is meeting the energy that you are being flooded with right now. It wants you to move. It wants you to fight. It wants you to flee. So really allow your body to shake, to move, to dance. That's a beautiful way as well of releasing when you're hyperstimulated with cortisol in your body, is to just really go for a run, do a workout. A lot of people find a lot of relief in that as well, but just very intense movements to really release that energy. And then you can come into a state of moving slowly, whether it's through stretching, breathing, walking. So as we're moving, we're releasing that anxiety. You understand now what's happening on a mind to body system of that flooded of cortisol. And maybe you're starting to feel a little bit more calm by doing this movement. Other ways we can release that anxiety that really helps myself and clients that I work with is talking to someone. This is another form of release. You're releasing all the thoughts that are being coupled with the anxiety, and you're talking with someone. But be careful who you choose to talk to. In these moments, it's good to choose someone who can listen to what you want to say without judgment, without shaming you, and without giving you unsolicited advice as well. Because when you are in a reactive state, you are not ready or prepared even to be able to take in anything that they're saying to you. Because in this whole chaos that's going on in your mind right now, what Amy is doing is shutting down your rational brain. So this is another very important thing to know. To why to not go into a reaction, because she's shutting down all these parts of your brain, because she is so focused on keeping you safe and putting you in that fight or flight. So she's shutting down the logical reasoning part of your brain, the neocortex. She's shutting down your digestive system. This is why we lose our appetite when we feel anxious. She's shutting down your reproductive system. This is why we lose our libido or even our periods when we are in a constant state of anxiety, because we don't want the blood flow and energy to be focused on these parts, because we're so fixated on the vital organs to keep you safe. So that's another reason why to not go into an immediate reaction, because your rational brain is not online. So as you're talking to this friend or this professional, or even to yourself through an internal dialogue, just notice and choose someone who can really listen to what you have to say without that judgment or giving you advice, because that might even put you in a further state of anxiety. So, what you're needing from that person is a listening ear, validation, and reassurance, and maybe some support in how you can calm yourself in this activated state. So once you start to find yourself coming down from that activated state and feeling more calm and grounded, and again, notice what that feels like for you. We're all different. We're all different. So it could be that you can breathe deeply again. So before you were taking very short, quick breaths, and now you can fill your lungs again. Is this sense of calm. Okay, the noise in my head is gone down slightly, and I feel like I'm moving slowly, and I'm feeling a lot more calm. I'm thinking more rational thoughts. These are all really good signs that your rational brain is coming back online. And only when you are in this state of groundedness and calm do I encourage you to then come back to that trigger and figure out what's really going on and figure out a way and a solution of how you can respond to it. So I put together 5 questions that you can ask yourself only when you are in a state of calm. If you quicken the process, you go too fast, and you are answering these questions in an activated state, this will make you even more activated, or it will take you down another route of becoming even more defensive or becoming even more anxious about your situation. So you can do this. Journaling is a really great way to journal out these questions, or maybe you want to talk it through with a friend or a professional as well. So what I call this is emotional investigation, emotional processing. We're processing the anxiety so we can go into a state of solution. So the first question is why? Why am I feeling anxious? Now, this could be a bit of a, well, duh, I know I am feeling anxious, but write it out. Write out the story, or say the story out loud to yourself or someone else. What's happening to put you in that state of anxiety? Include how it's making you feel. Include what are some of the thoughts that you're having in relation to this trigger that is making you feel anxious. And write out the story, write out the narrative. And the second question is, what am I making this mean? What am I making this mean about me? What am I making this mean about my partner? What am I making this mean about the situation as a whole? So, for example, the reason why you could be feeling anxious is because you're noticing that the person that you're dating right now is not as responsive as they used to be, and you can feel a sense of them pulling away, and this is making you quite anxious because before they were sending you all the messages, the good morning text, they're sending you voice notes before you go to bed, and they were just so consistent, and now they're not. This is what's causing the anxiety. So what are you making that mean about you? Are you making it mean that they've lost interest? Are you making it mean that there's something about you, something that you've said or done that have made them pull away? Is there something about the situation as a whole that, well, of course they're pulling away because, I don't deserve to have a healthy relationship or a relationship. I don't deserve to have love in my life. Or maybe it's a belief or a story that you have about men or women. Oh, of course they're pulling away. All men are assholes. All women are cold. What are those beliefs and stories that are surrounding the trigger as well? And that's going to give you some clues as to where this trigger is coming from in terms of any subconscious beliefs that you may hold about yourself, whether you're not enough, whether you're too much, whether you're not worthy, whether you're a bad person because you said this or you did that, or some of the subconscious stories we hold about relationships, about men, about women. So exploring that. And then the third question is applying the truth. Is it true? Is it true that they're pulling away and becoming distant right now? So this is a really important question. It could either instantly bring you some relief if you're like, well, no, it's not. I don't know it to be actually true that they are leaving me because they are pulling away. I don't know that it's actually true that they have, gotten bored with me because they are pulling away. Do I even know that they're pulling away? Is this the perception and story that I'm telling myself? But really, there could be something else going on, which is the fourth question. But it could be a no, or it could be a yes. It could be a yes. It could be, I do feel like they're pulling away because before they were so consistent, they were asking me questions, they were giving me attention, and now it's one word answers. Now I can sense that they're not making an effort. Now, we don't want to gaslight ourselves in this moment and be like, no, I don't know it to be true, because maybe it is giving you that intuitive hit that they are pulling away. But what it's not true is it's because of you. It could be something to do with them. So it's important to really give yourself compassion and a whole range of what could be happening in these moments. And 95% of the time, it is never about you as a person. It could be something completely different. And that is something to get curious about in the following questions. But in that moment, it may be a yes. And that is something to pay attention to, because our intuition is soft and gentle, but it's there. It's there. It's that little voice behind those big, major screaming fears that is like, hey, I do feel like this person is pulling away from me, and it is something that I do need to address. So whatever the answer is, to really explore the truth behind what you're making it mean in all different aspects. Like, it could be true that they are pulling away. However, it's not true that it's because of me. Okay. Next question, the fourth question to ask yourself is, what else could be happening? So like I said, building up this whole range of different scenarios, because we don't know what's happening until we have a conversation with this person. But just to give yourself that sense of relief, what else could be happening? So maybe they didn't send me that good morning text because they were in a rush this morning to go to work. Oh, I knew that they had that important meeting this morning. Maybe it just slipped their mind and they were just so stressed and focused on that. What else could be happening as to why your partner said something or caused an argument with you? It could be that they're just really stressed at work right now and they're taking it out on me. And no, it's not okay, but I'm putting myself in that other person's shoes to be able to develop some empathy and compassion in the moment. And this is what it means to be in a relationship. We have to work together on this. So, like I said, it's important to really get your rational brain online as you're going through these questions. Otherwise, you will just stimulate yourself even more and not be able to see these other scenarios that are playing out. So now you've built up a collection of other ways of why why they are pulling away, or why they said what they said, or why, whatever is triggering you is happening. And then the last question is, what can I do about this to give me some relief? What can I do about this? So depending on how those questions were answered, now is your time to come up with some solutions as to what will give you some relief. So maybe you have answered all those questions and you do believe that it is an irrational fear and anxiety that's coming from a past triggered memory. And no, it doesn't mean that they are going to leave you. They are in work, and it is on you to be able to soothe yourself in that moment and the anxiety, because going through those questions that is being stimulated by past memories. So maybe giving yourself some relief is doing some meditation or yoga or some somatic practices to connect to yourself, to give yourself that reassurance and safety that everything is okay. And you have that internal dialogue. Maybe some inner child work could really support you in this moment as well. Or what could provide you some relief is having a conversation. If it is the example of your person that you're dating pulling away, and you want to understand if they're still interested, if if it's worth you continuing to invest in the situation, let's have a conversation about this in a calm, curious energy. as opposed to a fearful, anxious, desperate energy. So I need to have a conversation about where this person's head's at and see where, if it is a matter of that they're just really busy, then can we come to some form of compromise that we do touch base throughout the day or not? And then you have to decide whether this is the type of relationship for you if they're not really willing to meet you halfway. Or maybe it's that conflict episode that you're having with your partner. What will give you some relief? What will support you to stay grounded during this really difficult conversation? I know for me, if I'm having a really difficult conversation with a partner, what will really help is if we lower our voices, we're not shouting at each other. That will help me stay calm. If we can have some physical touch of some sort, so while we're having this difficult conversation, we're still holding hands, we're still giving ourselves the signal that everything is okay, we just have to navigate this. So ask yourself, what will give me some relief and support me to stay grounded as I go and have that conversation, as I go and support myself through this anxiety. So I hope that was helpful, my love, as you're feeling really anxious right now. And I would love to invite you to really think about those different ways that I have outlisted in this episode of how you can release it. So whether you want to start with the shaking and then go for a walk in nature and then phone a friend, that's my routine for when I'm feeling anxious, or maybe it's something different. It's all about exploring what's right for you. It really is. We're all different, and different things work for us in different ways. So to recap, when you notice, noticing the signs of an activated anxious state, when you notice that that's happening, taking that power pause, stopping the conversation with your partner, putting the phone down, and taking yourself away just for a few moments, taking that power pause. And then number 2, finding ways to release the bulk of that anxiety. So you don't need to be all 100%, but the crucial thing is knowing when your neocortex, your rational brain, is back online. So finding ways to release the anxiety through shaking, through movement, through talking to a trusted friend who's going to listen. And then only when you notice those feelings of calmness coming over you, number 3, going into a processing. Asking yourself those 5 power questions to be able to support you to process the anxiety and come to a state of solution to bring you some relief. So my loves, I hope that was helpful in supporting you to understand, to release, and to manage your anxious feelings. And yeah, I would love to know what your process has been like from listening to this episode. You can reach out to me on social media or share this episode with anyone who struggles with relationship anxiety and could do with this episode. We find it really helpful, and I would love for you to really get this episode out to those who need it the most as well. So until next time, my loves, I wish you a beautiful, calm, and peaceful day. Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.